Okay, so let's look at another method of solving quadratic equations, which is completing the square now. So we got 1x squared minus 5 minus 2x equals 0. We know it doesn't factorise because we can't make 2 from 5 and 1, whatever we do with them. So we're going to have to use a different method. So x squared minus 2x, we can get 2x and an x squared if we go x minus 1 squared. But that will also we have to have a 1 squared, which you need to subtract minus the 1, so minus the 5, and that equals 0. So if we then go again, we got x minus 1 squared minus 6 equals 0. And then if we add the 6, we get x minus 1 squared equals 6. And then if we square root everything, x minus 1 is the plus or minus, make sure you remember both, of root 6, and add the 1. X equals 1 plus or minus root 6. And we could use this to plot the graph of y equals x squared minus 2x minus 5. First, if we just change it to decimal, x equals 3.45 or x equals minus 1.45 as we put it in a calculator. Sometimes you will need to do that, sometimes you won't. If we used it to plot the graph of y equals x squared minus 2x minus 5, so the y-intercept's minus 5 from the original equation. And then we know that a square number has to be equal to 0 or greater than 0. So here we know the lowest the graph can go is minus 6. And we know this happens to have to be at 1 because if x equals 1, then 1 minus 1 is 0, and that's 0 squared 0, which is the smallest we can get that. And then we use these other points we found here, was that we know that's when the equation equals 0, so when y equals 0, which is when it crosses the x-axis. And as it's a positive x squared, we know it comes from the top left and has to end up from the top right. So today we plotted our graph if we just mark on the points we know. So it's minus 5, we got minus 6 at the bottom, then 3.45 and minus 1.45 on the left. So then if we look at a more difficult one here, where we got multiple x squareds, we're going to factorise out of 2 from any term which contains an x in it, so not the 11. So x squared plus 7 over 2x plus 11. Then we complete the square for this, so don't forget to keep the 2 at the start. So we need to half the 7 over 2x again to get to 7 over 4. And we need to figure out what the term is there. So 7 over 4 squared is 49 over 16. But because it's 2 at the start, 2 times that is 49 over 8. If we put this in our calculator, or we just do it by hand, or however you want to do it, then that makes 39 over 8. And we complete the square. So we can use this to plot the graph now. So we know that the y-intercept has to be at 11 from the original equation. Then if we look back to what we had earlier, we found the minimum point was at minus 7 over 4, because that x plus 7 over 4 would have to be 0, that's the lowest you can go. And we also know, because it's an x squared graph, it comes from the top left, goes to the top right, so it looks somewhat like that. And then if you mark on the what else we know, because we know that it's 39 over 8, because if that's 0, then we just add on the 39 over 8, and we're done.